So we have 0 breaks? I mean, yeah, this is just a normal podcast.
Maybe I would change it to the last week.
Find a way to watch the stream.
If you hear something funny, feel free to laugh.
Yeah.
But don't force it.
Yeah, no.
No performative laughter like when I was at the movie theater yesterday.
Who was performatively laughing at the movie theater?
You know, there's always that guy in the movie theater that's like, gotta let you know he got the joke way more than you did.
Dude, Schindler just watched the kids down.
I did see 2 great movies yesterday, though. Back to back. Spent 6 hours in the movie theater.
That sounds.
I saw Thelma, which
Is it a prequel to Thelma and Louise?
No.
No.
Well, that makes me sad.
It's about an old lady who gets $10,000 scammed off of her, and she goes on a quest with like her dead husband's best friend to get the money back. Welcome to episode 54 of the OVW podcast, the unofficial podcast of Ohio Valley Wrestling. My name is Jackman Oaks.
And I'm Brian Hines. What's up, guys?
Today's summer vacation continued replay of a great pay-per-view, a Saturday night special, the 2024 OVW March Mayhem. Are we rolling, guys? Are we rolling? All right. And of course, Brian, we were told what? We were told what about these pay-per-views that they're re-showing?
So these pay-per-views hold hidden clues that will help us piece together the current OVW future.
That's right. Very excited. The last two that we reviewed, we knocked them out last week. Definitely was a lot of meat on the bone there. Excited to go back through this one with you and you guys if you're joining us live or if you're joining us on audio later in the audio or video. We'll still have video of this later in the week. Thank you. Thank you however you listen to this show.
Yes, we appreciate you.
But first, a lot of you guys know this. Some of you may not. You can join the OVW Podcast Connect to get free stuff. What kind of free stuff are we talking about, Tiny Brian?
Well, I've already got a bunch.
And hello, Tiny Brian.
Hello, Jackman. Hello, Brian.
Hey.
So yeah, there's a lot of stuff. There is some pins, like clothing pin,
Very
not writing
nice
pin,
enamel
Not safety
pins.
pins.
not safety pins,
Not pins and needles.
No, none of that.
Very nice pins.
Not bowling pins.
Lapel pins.
Yes. Although I do like the idea of unofficial bowling pins.
I like the idea of getting one of those pins that writes upside down.
Like the astronaut shoes.
Yeah, like the astronauts use.
Okay, we'll put that on the list for you.
Thank you.
You just made the list.
A pencil also works.
Not in space.
Not in space, because it shaves off little bits of graphite. It can get in the electronics and cause problems.
Oh, well, good thing I don't plan on going to space.
Me
Who
neither.
knows? Look,
That's just for the ruling class. Wait, no, Tiny Brian, please go on. I was about to start something I don't want to get into right now.
what was that? Oh, yeah, we have pins, and we're just waiting on shirts. And may talk to Eric Cornish about doing some stuff. He has a little business in
That's right.
Louisville that
That's
does
right.
that. May divert and talk to him about
He
it.
helps
But
out
for
some
now,
of the wrestlers with some of their merchandise, so he's not he has some expertise in the area.
But for now, we are. But yeah, we've got some things ordered. We got to come in and do a bunch of production. It's been kind of hot to turn on the press that will make the T-shirts, but we're going to do that probably this week.
Awesome.
So-
Let me know if
Cool.
you need any help.
Well, you know, you're around, I'm sure.
I am. I'll be around. You know where to find me. Our coverage of OVW Overdrives resumes this week with Tiny Brian, who you just heard, and Victor, our senior producer, bringing you all the action from Tuesday evening's events. What are they getting into over there? Because they've changed up, much like Rise has changed up their summer schedule here. Overdrive has as well. Isn't that right, Tiny Brian?
That is correct. They're doing just as Overdrive is doing. They're going through the Revolution, member by member, showing best matches, kind of giving us a little bit on their history. So far, they started with the 13th. Is it the 11th Warrior or the 13th Warrior? This is like the East End, West End villain thing all over for
I
me.
believe it's the 13th Warrior. That's Jamin Olivencia.
Jamin Olivencia, one way or the other. And then Shotgun Tony Gunn was the most recent one. We're going to try to cover both of those. We've been sort of bad because things have been a little hectic around here recently.
We've got a lot going on in our day-to-day, and as soon as we can talk about that, we'll talk about it, I'm sure, to
Yeah.
some extent.
For
but-
summer vacation, we're still pretty busy.
Yeah, but you know, that's why we're in here doing the podcast. We get to rub on our sunscreen, put on our sunglasses, and kick back and relax with some good summer reading in the form of catching up on not only all of the pay-per-views from this year, but every member of the Revolution on OVW Overdrive. And then they're still doing if you were curious about what's happening week to week to Kennison and Stevie J, they're still updating their story on Overdrive.
Yes, they are indeed. They're giving them headaches recently.
So a lot of content still out there. We're, of course, live every Wednesday night on the OVW Fan Zone Live, where fans talk back. Brian Hines. That's on OVW TV.
That's right. We are official on Wednesdays.
Yes, we are. Says so right on our social media icons.
Yes, and we will be taking your questions and comments. We will go over the predictions.
What the hell, anyway.
Yeah, but we'll get into that Wednesday. I digress. We'll be playing games and talking about the latest OVW tour stops.
Yeah, a lot of stuff going on in OVW land over the summer. Of course, Davis Arena out of commission until further notice. But we heard through the grapevine some stuff going on. They are working toward that.
It is
they are
moving
progressing
in a good direction.
They are progressing. We can, without giving any details, we can promise you that here at this time that they are progressing. They're getting it done. And until then, we've got a lot of great.
Cheswick, Pennsylvania, August 10th. Cincinnati, Ohio, August 16th. I'm glad I stopped and looked at a calendar because for whatever reason in my head that was a Saturday, but that is not the case. It is a Friday.
Oh,
is
that's
it?
important information.
Yes.
I assumed it was a Saturday, too.
Yeah, I was fully expecting to go back to Ohio and then do that on Friday. Go back to Ohio on Friday and then go to the show on Saturday. But I looked at the calendar, and that is not the case because they are in Warren, Ohio on August 17th, and then followed by Milwaukee, Wisconsin on August 18th.
Busy weekend.
And then OVW Fight Night at Appalachian Wireless Arena in Pikeville, Kentucky is August 31st. They just announced some new names for that.
Yes, they did. Let's talk about that.
Go
'cause
on.
So we already knew that WWE Hall of Famer Kevin Nash had been announced. But in addition
it,
to
love
that, they also have announced that Victoria will be there as well.
Oh, Victoria.
And the Boogeyman.
The Boogeyman. What's your favorite Boogeyman match?
Any of them where he doesn't have a mouthful of worms.
Okay. Yeah, that's
So,
a good choice.
you know, I think that is part of all of them. So there's that. Seeing that is like watching you eat calamari at the Chinese buffet.
that wasn't even calamari. That was just squid. Just
Well,
whole squid just fighting to not go down his gullet.
me fighting
They
to
weren't
walk.
They weren't alive. It wasn't like that scene in Old Boy.
I mean, granted, they looked beautiful on the plate. I just didn't want to watch you eat them.
You're right. I actually just put them on my plate for the gram, and I shoved them right into the trash afterwards.
No, he didn't. I wish he had.
Yeah, and that's why I left.
You know, yesterday I was thinking of both of you guys when I was at the grocery store because they had a lot of really nice marked down, seafood, like preserved seafood. And I almost got one of each. And then I ended up just getting the smoked mussels. I didn't get the shrimp.
Like
or
Hulk Hogan.
the squid. I didn't
So
get
like
the
Hulk
squid.
Hogan, smoked mussels.
Yeah. Well, Hulk Hogan's more of like a hot dog.
I can see it.
But yeah, it's I was
Tan
thinking of-
casing, filler on the inside.
Yeah.
I was thinking of bringing on the squid preserved in olive oil in a can and just eating it here in front of you, but I decided not to.
I mean, I own these cameras. I decide what they see.
Prick, party of one.
Hey, food's always been a thing of the OVW podcast.
Well, yeah,
That's
not
exactly what I
food.
would have said.
that's not food. That's torture.
Yeah.
Cat. I had a feeling it also looked a lot like something my cat would eat. So that kind of.
Your cat would eat and hawk.
No, my cat. They got strong stomachs, bro. They were out there from the streets, bro. They'll eat anything. Full pieces of pizza. I've seen one of my cats eat a full piece of pizza.
I used to have a cat that would eat French fries out of the box one by one. She would pull them out with her, like the middle claw,
Nice.
and then she would.
This is today.
Happy cat birthday.
4B.
Too bad it's not actually Catterday.
I know. It's been a long year for me, and one of those things was like not being around my cat as much, unfortunately. So today's been like, I don't want to be dramatic, but it has been kind of like a day of somberness for me and not getting to see my cat. But
Hey,
happy
man,
birthday, 4B.
I feel you. I went last
This is
week
something
back
you and
to
I have talked
Ohio because my cat had missed me. Told her last weekend that I would be back this weekend because I had my 30-year high school reunion. Shout out to the Ripley class of 1994. It was great hanging with all you guys today.
What was your school song? Or your class song, rather? I don't expect you to call out like
God.
the on U of K.
Was it A Whole New World? I think ours was.
Ew, no.
It was about that time
I don't
frame.
remember what ours was. It might have been. Yeah, I got nothing. I don't know.
I don't think by the time that stuff came around to like my generation, things were so fragmented that there was really like no.
Unifying song.
Yeah, there was really like no unifying song. It might have been Lollipop. Like if you had to truly ask, my school song, my class song might have been Lollipop by Lil Wayne.
Well, senior producer Victor's class, their song was Nothing Else Matters by Metallica.
Yeah, I know that.
That's
I know his, but I don't know mine.
Yeah.
The song Elton John claimed was one of the most beautiful songs ever written.
Nothing else.
Lollipop?
I can't do it
No,
anymore.
no,
Oh,
nothing
okay.
else matters.
I wanna lick it like a.
I have a
That's all I
feeling,
can
like,
do.
here's the thing about Elton John is he's, like, he, for 60 years has had crazy music takes. And I bet he would have been, like, because he worked with Kanye West a lot during the time that Lollipop came out. Like, I have a feeling that Lollipop by Lil Wayne, he would have been like, oh, it's a wonderful little pop song. I don't know why Elton John sounds like Paul McCartney in my impression, but
I listened to his autobiography last year, or 2 years ago,
Yeah.
on my way to work one day, and it was an outstanding.
it's really good.
Yeah, it was really good.
It's really good.
I really appreciated it.
Tiny Brian, this is summer vacation. If we want to sit,
Until I, get
Hey,
real
but-
impatient.
Hey! Don't go breaking my heart.
I
I
couldn't
wouldn't
if I tried.
if I tried.
Oh, honey, when I get restless. Oh, you're not that type.
Type, yeah.
We will get into all the action. OVWTix.com, by the way. OVWTIX. But Malachi, can I get my camera real quick?
This is unorthodox for the podcast.
OVWTIX.com. We'll be back with all the action from OVW Rise 1301 right after this.
That camera's supposed to be just for the fan zone,
I really had to make a point.
but that's fine. We'll let it slide. Hey guys, Tiny Brian here, as I was before. Like I came into the studio to record this ad. No, I'm just sitting here while they look at me, and I'm here to talk about Bluegrass Homefront because it's our one and only sponsor. We don't actually pay we don't pay any money for it.
I was going to say, are you double dipping on this?
I mean, sort of. So we're going to start recording things this week. Here's a sweet story. I think Victor and I may have talked about on the podcast when it happened before, is when Victor's oldest son was like 5. He was obsessed with tornadoes. Just obsessed in the way that some people get fixed. They had the screening of the original Twister, and they had all like the weather science props where you could touch a tiny little vortex and all that cool stuff. And so we went to that, and he was like 5. And then that was 8 or 9 years ago, because now Twisters is out, and today producing stuff, and I joined senior producer Victor and his oldest son for kind of a boys' day out, and we went and watched Twisters today.
That's dope.
So it was a fun time, and that's really fun times are really what Bluegrass Homefront is all about. So check us out, bluegrasshomefront.com, wherever you get your podcasts. And now back to the OVW podcast.
I like the way you wove that together there.
It's almost like I'm a professional. I pretend to be one.
I liked that
Almost.
a lot, actually. What was I going to say? Oh, as a question for you two, because you're of the correct age. I have my choice, but this one is going to be a harder choice for the Bryans here. Twisters or Trimmers? Both hits of the early VHS market, home VHS market.
I'm going to go with Tremors.
See, I'm a Twisters guy. Twister guy.
I'm going to break the tie here. I think everybody knows where I'm going. Trimmers.
What the hell's going on?
Trimmers.
Oh, come on. You've got Kevin Bacon.
Yep.
You've got Michael Gross
Yep.
from Family Ties.
Sure.
Wasn't Reba McEntire in there?
Reba's in her acting debut.
And giant sandworms. I mean, it's like Beetlejuice set in the desert.
Helen Hunt. I've got
Helen Hunt
over
was
here.
A-list at this point, though.
Yes, I've got Helen Hunt. Mad About You fame,
And
from which Friends spun off. Little known fact.
Did you
I
did you
did not know
catch that Mad About You reboot?
No.
Yeah, no, neither did anybody
Neither
else.
did anybody at all.
So about this time last year, I was at a wedding in Atlanta, or right outside of Atlanta, and we were, as the groom's party, we were about 45 minutes late, at least, in waking up, getting there, everything. All of the lovely young, bridesmaids were there, and they had their music going. You could hear them talking. They were full of life. We were rolling in there like an hour late, just dying. And I was at the very back of the line, and the guy in front of me actually, and he was a really good-looking cat, so it made sense. He had 2 bridesmaids, and I had one, but I was at the very end of the line. And they also kind of like, I could tell very early on, they put a target on my back because they knew I would tell them the truth about things. So we're standing there like in, I guess, the first like rehearsal before the actual wedding. We've done our rehearsal dinner the night before, and all 3 of them at the same time turn around on me like I'm being attacked, and they say, "What were you guys doing last night?" And I looked at them and I told them the God's honest truth, and this is the God's honest truth. I said, we were up until like 5 watching Tremors.
Did you watch it more than once? Because it's
No,
not
it was just
like
the last movie. Like we got into some
I've
stuff.
heard this story.
We got into some stuff. I'm not gonna lie, but we didn't like go out. Like we weren't throwing racks. Like there were no girls. Like, and they lost
No
all
girls
of their
coming out of a cake.
Yeah, no, they lost
Oh,
all of
come
their
on.
trust on me when I was like, no, we were up until like 5 watching Tremors. And that is the God's honest truth of what happened that night. We watched a bunch of rollerblading videos and then watched Tremors.
Oh, you millennials. I'm trying not
Better
to be
you than me, I
judgy.
guess.
Yeah.
I do have the trump card in this battle. Twister has a banger of a soundtrack.
I was
does.
going to bring that up. If you're going soundtrack versus soundtrack, it's Twister for sure.
That's the thing that, it kept Tremors cheap, They spent a lot of that money on the
Special effects.
special effects, yeah.
Yeah.
The giant sandworms.
All right. Let's Tiny Brian, let's run down these matches, shall we?
Shall we? So they showed exactly 6 matches, and they started with something that you wouldn't have gotten on the replay.
I noticed that
A
here.
match from the pre-show, specifically Angelica Risk versus, when she was still being called the Neon Dream, Riley Matthews.
So, do you think that this is because I think we both liked Riley Matthews. I know that she's kind of close with Jack Vaughn.
Yeah, she's a great worker.
She's kind of centralized.
I've seen
out
her
of
in the
that
Spot
area.
Monkey.
Riley, if you're out there, we'd love to talk to you for the show.
Yes, definitely. And that goes.
We should actually promo who we're going to have on the interview this week. We didn't talk. We usually talk about that at the top. We do have a new interview
I
this
don't
week.
know.
I don't know.
who we are
I
interviewing.
think we.
I mean, we did like a bunch of interviews on Friday, but I have no idea who we're going to lead off with.
For various reasons, I say we lead off with the Gap bundles.
All right. Yeah.
So you can look for that on Thursday morning.
Yeah. Sure. I mean, whatever.
So, but anyway, so that's a thing. But Riley, please come talk to us. We'd love to have you on the show. But this is a great little match that we saw live.
You guys think you know to get so far. Wait until you guys really get to know him. So, and I think really though, what we're talking about here with Angelica Riss and Riley Matthews is that Angelica Riss has become a staple of the kind of OVW women's undercard.
Yeah.
And she's great at that role. And she's kept a certain air of prominence and believability that she could get slotted into an upper role at any time.
Yeah, back when the Bad Girls Club was a fully functioning unit, she could have easily dropped into that.
Yeah. I think that she's better off having not.
I think everybody was.
Well, I just mean because we knew all those. We knew those other 4 girls.
Yeah.
Short of Hima, I guess. But Hima just slotted in so nicely. I don't think we needed 2 like brand new faces in it, if that makes sense.
Yep.
And I
Yeah.
think Angelica's been able to really establish herself outside of it. I think Hima maybe wasn't as ready to go as a single star as Angelica was.
I can see that because Angelica can definitely hold her own. She's got a ferocious tenacity in the ring, and it definitely comes out in this match.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then I think just on Riley, we said previously we really liked her, really like her. We know she's in the area. Would love to see her back, but haven't seen her in a little while.
No, it's how long has it been?
It's been
2 months,
Yeah,
maybe
probably
a little
something
bit longer.
like that.
Meanwhile,
I know she's
Angelica,
still out there doing her.
if you will recall, she was one of the people Tiffany tried to get to tag with her.
That's right.
right before Independence Rage. So
She
we're
said, "Nah."
Yeah, and had a great little backstage sequence there where she was funny and I thought you guys broke up. No. So yeah, love Angelica, in and out in OVW.
Yeah, we'll see. Kind of. Only time will tell what, if any, hint they were trying to give us right there.
Hopefully that means that we'll see both of them more in the future moving forward.
Yeah, and I think that we're really at a turning point with who we're gonna see and who we're not. I think we're moving in a bunch of fresh talent to different positions, in general, all across the board in OVW.
If the Manchester show is any indication at all,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which we'll talk about on Wednesday.
Where fans talk back, you can
Yes.
talk back with us at the OVW Fan Zone Live. So second match here, I remember this match very well because this is a stipulation that from a bygone era. You know, the Cal hero Tony Evans, of course, joined by Jay De Niro. Coal
Naturally.
miner's glove on a pole match.
Yes.
I remember this really, really well. I remember that pole being like both what I was afraid of being a safety hazard and maybe a little too lubed up by the end of the
It
match.
was very hard to get up there.
Yeah, it was very slippery.
It was, you got two guys covered in body oil going out there trying to climb that thing. Evans and Cal Hero are kind of out of each other's hair for the time being.
It would seem so.
I think that Cal is up there with as strong of a heavyweight championship contender as anybody, and I have a feeling, that will happen more sooner rather than later. And Tony Evans will be right back in Cal Hero's hair because Tony Evans is the type of heel that can bounce between divisions and bounce between championships and bounce between feuds without losing.
A very good utility player.
He's a utility player.
Yes, he can pretty well slot into anywhere, and end up turning up a great program with anybody.
Mm-hmm. And can go into a crowd who knows. I mean, we saw a little bit of this at the Manchester. Manchester was filled a lot more with OVW faithful than maybe previously.
It's almost like everybody was really missing seeing OVW live, so they drove themselves to Lexington to see it.
But
Yeah, it was good to see the old gang again.
definitely
Yes.
loved seeing everybody.
We miss you guys.
I kind of think that as far as maybe giving us clues with this one, I think they just wanted to get the spectacle of this match on the screen. I don't know if this one is really giving us like a ton of like clues.
Well, we did see here, this is probably the first time that Tony accidentally hit Jay De Niro when he was trying to help.
That is notable, yes.
This is the fall of the glove, the beginning of the fall of the
beginning
glove.
and the end, yes. When the loaded baked potato glove started to dry up because it had been under the sun lamp.
I had totally forgotten about this, but there was a half moon in this match.
Oh yeah, no, that's classic.
Yeah.
If you're going full like 70s stipulation, you got to go full half moon too. Like that's
Yeah.
Show
Dude,
the butt.
people in the 70s and 80s got so hot for a heel getting their pants pulled down.
Yeah.
Like nothing.
Mooning
nothing
was a much
yes,
bigger thing in those
yes,
days.
yeah,
Just
it
ask
was-
your co-host.
It was
Anyway, although Carson Drake did hit us with
Carson Drake is the NWA is like harkening back to this era. Carson Drake in a lot of ways is harkening back to that era as well.
He gives real Mr. Perfect vibes, I think.
Think
Other
he
than
can
being
catch his
good at
own
things.
football?
No, I do not.
Do you see my water over there anywhere?
Is it a bottle of
It
water?
is a bottle of water.
Oh, crisis averted.
Huzzah. Gracias. Thank
no
you.
problem. Let's talk about two here of the main show.
So,
The barroom brawl.
right. But in the
Oh,
previous
sorry,
match,
sorry.
Cal Hero takes the victory.
He does.
Thank you.
Like we said before, Tony Evans accidentally clocks Jay De Niro, and that sets up Cal for the win. But the next bout after that, this was my match of the night. So in preparation for this, not only did I just finish watching this pay-per-view as you guys were walking in, I listened to what we had to say the first time we saw this.
Oh, wow.
On the way
Extra
down
research.
here. That way I could go ahead and kind of get back into that mindset. Because, I was hanging out in 1994 last night, so I had to, get back into present day.
Save tonight.
Ew.
Black hole sun. Anyway.
So this
Dude, have you
match-
heard of the internet?
What's the internet?
It's this series
It's like
of tubes.
AOL, but you don't
Oh,
have
yeah.
to use it.
I got this CD in the mail, and
got-
it says AOL.
Yeah, I got the CD in the mail yesterday. If we ask everybody that we know who got the CD, then we could have 4,500 hours of free internet.
So we would be in a black screen chat room.
Yeah.
Because that's all that there was back then.
Well, no. Trust me. There's this other thing on the internet. It's called porn.
Really?
Not
No,
1994.
not
Oh,
94.
no. Yes. Trust
All right,
me.
let's not get off onto this.
But
tangent.
I digress. Seriously.
let's
Let's get back
digress.
on track.
It wasn't anything
So you
worth
listen-
seeing, but it was on there.
So you listened to.
I was
our
3
original-
accessing it.
Great, that's lovely for you. That does explain some things.
Yeah.
So Brian, you listened to our original episode on the way down.
I did.
So what insights did we have about this match?
We just talked about our firsthand experience actually being there at Davis Arena and seeing this match. And, I mean, this was my match of the night.
This was not my match of this match.
Yeah, and I saw that, and I could see senior producer Victor and his son Isaiah, but they only showed like the crowd for just a split second a couple of times. I didn't see you, but they were both there right in the front row, right behind the barricade. So I know that they probably got it too.
Well, this was the night that you sat
like
in
right beside the
ringside.
score's
And
timekeeper. So, and when they went for
he was on hard camera side.
Yeah, and they got me good. 'Cause
Yeah.
basically, he missed Cal and he missed
Cash
flow and got me. But it's fine. I've recovered. But still, it is a great match, and this is a match we have an artifact here in the studio for.
We do.
That's
Wherever
right.
it is.
Oh, it's behind the Revolution sign.
Yeah.
Appropriately enough, I suppose.
Yes, during the course of this match, Luscious Lawrence ascends to the top rope and drops his britches, and it expects that Omar Amir is going to shove Cashflow's face into Luscious's behind, but that is not what happens. And instead, Cashflow breaks the pull cue over Omar's neck. And there, if you can see it, there's the base of the pull cue, and the other end of the pull cue, I believe, was used for an amateur proctology exam.
Yeah, that's
Administered by one Mr. Cashflow.
This is one of the best matches in OVW this year,
Yes.
and it provided us with one of the most iconic moments in OVW this year too, which is what you just described.
And we got 1 million views on Instagram for Isaiah's video.
That's
of
right.
that,
And I'm
so-
not just saying that because we went gangbusters for the first time on something. It was truly like an iconic moment. Even a few days, this was one that came up amongst them. This isn't.
Right.
This is one that came up amongst them. They know that it was good when they were watching it.
This might be my favorite match of the year
So
so far.
let's talk about the finish.
I
though.
love a good plunger brawl match like this, but I think I know what my match of the year is, but I'm not gonna say it here.
Well, it's only July. That's a November,
Okay.
December
Up
conversation.
to this
They're
point.
all rolling conversations.
Yeah.
They're all rolling conversations.
But the main reason this match was featured is because it was a no decision. It looked as though
good catch.
the Golden Lions were going to get the victory, but they were interrupted by the Masked Men, which we now know were led by EC3 and Crixus.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing of note in this particular match, when they come in and just give everybody the beat down, both sides, Beaches and Cream and Golden Lions, there are not just the 3 masked men that we have revealed, because originally 3 masked men enter the ring, and that causes the no decision on this match. Security comes out of the back, chases them out the side door like they have done a couple of times before that and since. But after that happens and security is outside, 2 men emerge from underneath the ring. So that means that there are at least a total of 5 masked figures as part of the revolution.
I think we have seen 4 of them now.
Yeah, because we would have to assume that at this time Big Beef was still one of them. He's no longer with the group.
Right.
So there's still, but that means that there is still that ever elusive one floating out there,
That's not been unmasked. Yeah, we assume Jamin was
or
one of
at
these
least
people.
one. Let's be honest. There's gonna
There could be a dozen more.
there could be a dozen because it's masked man angle in wrestling, and you can add or subtract as many of them as you want. You know.
Which is one of the beauties of that.
Why would they come out and do this?
Well, at this time, Cash. I mean, I have a feeling Cash and Shira, the team of Cash and Shira, would have been a lot. If Cash was still here, Shira wouldn't be a team with Super Z. Super Z
No.
would be a singles guy, and Cash and Shira would be in the OVW
in the
alliance.
With the revolution now.
Or
Oh, that's an interesting or.
never mind.
We'll save that for when Cash actually comes back.
Yeah. We'll save it for a later date. I don't want to get too into the shits here, but yeah, we'll save it for a later date.
Beautiful match, lots of fun.
Yes, it
literally
was a
got me
very
wet.
fun match, and that was heavily laced with Country Boy.
Yeah, it was all
Yep.
Country Boy
All
props.
Country Boy props. Country Boy kegs, Country Boy bourbon barrels. I don't think that the pool cues were Country Boy, but I wouldn't mind having a Country Boy pool cue. I love playing pool. Just ask Victor.
He's the baddest man in billiards, folks.
So does Cashflow loves playing pool too. Luscious, not so much.
Not after this.
All right, bout 3 of the night was the All-American Sweethearts. That is, of course, Sophia Rose and Lady Bird versus the Bad Girls Club, this time in the form of Hema and Ellie.
Very first time we saw the Sophia Rose overcoming video.
If this podcast ever gets old enough to like do true retrospectives, that is its own 10-minute conversation.
Is the way that went down because
Yeah.
for one thing, this was the
Or if not longer, depending on where Sophia Rose goes from here. But like the introduction of Sophia Rose to Ohio Valley Wrestling, the introduction of the character, not Harley Jane, but Sophia Rose,
Yes.
it's something because people are still going to be talking about it. Like, tremendous job. Tremendous job bringing in this character.
powerful video.
Powerful video. And then you put her, she's in this tag team with Lady Bird, who we don't know as much about from like a personal history standpoint, but is like so incredibly likable. They look so good together. They look like a team. Like, just instantly, everything basically in the Sophia Rose experiment so far has gone right.
And that video is very powerful stuff. I remember the first few times they aired it, everybody in Davis Arena just stopped and watched as they were able to.
And the important part is it grew.
Yes.
It grew. The amount of people from week to week going silent just in the arena to watch the thing grew.
Well, they played it nice and loud that night, which they often don't do
Yeah.
at these live events.
As we made note of in
The original.
the original podcast, yes.
And then, like, since we're kind of talking about this in this like weird, calloused way or cynical ways, like we don't like interact with these people. Congratulations to Sophia Rose for going through like what she went
Absolutely.
through. Like, I don't think we've ever said that on this podcast, and I don't want things to become so calloused. Like we're just like talking about people's lives like they don't like. She has an amazing story, and
Yes.
they took it and they put it to the forefront, and they've been able to do amazing things with Sophia's talent on the back of her amazing story.
That they most certainly have. And we're very proud of her and everything that she's been able to accomplish so far. And I'm hoping that by including their match from this pay-per-view, that means that we will see the
Lady Bird.
America's Sweethearts return sooner than later.
Would love to see that.
We know that Dream Girl Ellie is still around. Hema,
Not
so much.
And I guess since then, Hema, I think, was always going to be a short-term project for OVW. I think that they always knew kind of that she was going to end up leaving OVW after a set amount of time. Ellie is a long-term stalwart at OVW. I think Hema will end up coming back. Ellie is, of course, back to being the Dream Girl Ellie of old at this point.
Yes, she is, including the Primal Scream.
And
which
then,
we're all happy to see.
Even me. Yeah.
I just and then Hema. Not gonna speculate because I don't know nothing, but loved her work while she was here.
Absolutely.
Hope
And-
to see more of her.
And we can talk kind of about those. Those were the 2 of the 4 members at the time of the Bad Girls Club. In this next bout here, we'll talk about the other 2 members.
Yes. The next match was the Fatal 4-Way from March Mayhem, and that featured Layla Gray,
Mm-hmm.
La Princesa, Tiffany Nieves, Hollywood Haley J, and Freya the Slave.
We saw a version of this match minus Tiffany. All of these girls have been kind of at the top of the card and facing each other in one way or another for a year at this
Yeah.
point. Layla Gray is the incoming champion to this match. She is still the champion to this day. Tiffany Nieves is, I assume, probably going to be the challenger at Fight Night.
It's possible,
I mean,
but
maybe.
she did just sign with NWA, so congratulations.
She did, yes, congratulations, but she will still be at Ohio Valley
She
Wrestling.
will.
Yes.
I've confirmed that both with OVW admin and with her herself.
So,
We assume that the same is true of Carson Drake and a couple others who have had NWA put out those memes that they've signed an exclusive contract, but OVW says they're still going to be right here with us. So
and
And thank God for that.
I think
Amen.
that's the more people can work, the better they can get. And the better they can get paid. We all agree with that. We all love that.
Yeah.
I think that we're probably going to see another Tiffany and Layla match, but I also think at Fight Night, given that we've taken several weeks off of weekly television, I could see that women's match at Fight Night just getting as many of those women's stars, and we could very well see a rematch of this very thing there.
this
that
fatal
night.
four-way, yeah.
It is entirely possible. I mean, you just don't know at this point.
Tiffany and Layla, are still in the dissolution of the Bad Girls Club. We'll see what happens there. Hollywood Haley J has kind of become a live event and pay-per-view player.
We know that she's headed to WoW for a few weeks
Yeah.
in the very near future.
Yes.
Which could very well take her out of the Fight Night thing. I don't know.
It's hard to say.
And Freya the Slaya is a perennial fan favorite who kind of can waltz in and out of the title picture anytime she pleases,
I mean,
because
these
no one's
are-
going to question it.
These are the heaviest hitters from the women's division.
Yeah.
And this pay-per-view is like the beginning of the split in the Bad Girls Club.
Yeah.
I mean,
just
there
4
were like
months ago, I
minor
guess,
things
3 months ago.
here and there, but this is really, in my opinion, where the dissension kind of starts in the ranks.
When Layla pins Tiffany?
Yes, when Layla pins Tiffany, because Freya is out as well. She could have easily pinned Freya, but she chose to pin Tiffany Nieves.
Well, and I also want to clarify something that I just said, where I called Hollywood a part-time or pay-per-view player. It's actually kind of amazing that someone in Ohio Valley Wrestling can get to that hasn't been at WWE or hasn't been at AEW or hasn't been at TNA or whatever.
She's that popular
that
just
she's
from
that
her work at
popular
OVW.
just from her work in OVW, that she can slot into that position.
She's got that kind of pull
Yeah.
because of her in-ring reputation in OVW, the love and adoration of the fans,
Right.
and her prominent feature in Wrestlers.
Definitely. And it's not like she's sitting back on her ass. You can tell she's getting better every single time she comes back to OVW. She's working hard. She's wrestling other places. She's wrestling at WoW. She's wrestling on TV.
She wrestled at the Manchester.
It's not like she's resting on her laurels.
Rurals?
Yeah, easy for me to say, easy for you to say.
What is it? Laurels?
Laurels.
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 Yeah, like your laurel.
Like I'm
wreath.
here to offer you a laurel and hearty handshake.
She's not resting on her.
If you tell me who is on first.
She's not resting on
I
her
don't know.
laurels.
Third
She's
base.
getting better. She really is. So, like, I think that it's something to observe, not something to be criticized, that she's in this position that she's in.
Yes.
That's all.
And just to go back for 1 second, while we were talking about the Sweethearts and Bad Girls match, I was actually going back to look again to see when the Masked Men entered the Barroom Brawl match, because I still feel like there's something there that maybe we still missed.
Yeah, I looked at it pretty close. I can't really make it. It's Beaches and Cream were both beat up just as much as Shira and Cash. I can't really see anything out of the ordinary except why they did it. And I think Jacqueline has it surrounded that Cash and Shira would be much more involved with the Revolution if Cash hadn't been summoned by Sylvester Stallone to Atlanta.
When Sly calls, you answer.
No,
That's
I
it.
ain't blaming him.
Yeah, no,
Don't
not
do
at
it.
all.
So, final match of the night here as it premiered on OVW TV Rise Live 1301. And this was the last match of the night at the proper pay-per-view as well. So,
Yes.
This was a weird one. And going back to what we said originally, hey, man, it's a weird one. I've never seen a match like this because technically it is a tag team match, but neither side are actual teams.
Right.
On one side, you've got Shotgun Tony Gunn and Certified Luke Curtis. On the other side, you have the veteran Jack Vaughn, accompanied by Jack Vaughn's mustache, and EC3 with his
thing.
Yeah.
This was the first time. This was the night I think we had the gnomes, which we
Oh,
have
the
a
butt
gnome
crack
here on
gnomes?
set. We
Yeah.
have one of the butt crack gnomes here on set.
And I still missed that. Did we?
I can tell you.
Was there a point in the match where we actually saw half of EC3's dumper?
It
Or?
was
I can
before.
tell you.
It was
yeah,
before.
he cut a promo. I can tell you exactly what happened. Keith and all of his. It's on that side. You know, he cut a promo where he's facing
hard cam.
hard cam, and I guess had a little bit of plumber's crack, and they capitalized on it, and they still chant butt crack.
Because that hard cam side is no joke. Don't
Yeah,
mess
the
with
people
them.
on the hard cam side are the best fans. Well, I shouldn't say that. They're definitely the most dedicated.
Yeah.
Every one of OVW, every fan of OVW is a great fan, except for some of these people I see on the internet. Everyone's a great fan, but
Quit taunting the internet, Jackman.
the people that sit hard cam side are they love it on a different level.
In
They
case
love
you
it.
don't know what that means, like if you're just listening to us for the first time, which could be the case because a lot of people that I spoke with last night weren't exactly aware of what I was doing these days. When we refer to hard cam, that is the camera that you normally see to tell the story of a match.
Right.
And it is
Right.
fixed on one side of the arena, that's why it is called the hard cam. So the people that we're referring to are the audience members on the opposite side of the ring.
Right.
If
Right.
you're playing along at home, and you're probably not.
And
But
they are
anyway,
some of our favorite people, some of our best fans, some of the best fans, greatest fans, smartest fans, most dedicated fans of OVW. But they don't let you get away with nothing if you're a wrestler in there.
no, they most definitely don't.
We have sat on that hard cam side in a year of going to Davis Arena. Like, we're coming up on a year of going to Davis Arena, like, this week. We have sat on that hard cam side maybe 3 times.
Yes.
And
Because it's just too hardcore for us, really.
and guys, and it's also always full.
It is, in fact, packed.
And
Yes.
you've heard me say this on this podcast, or maybe you haven't. But 5 years ago, 6 years ago, that was not the case. They were shoving you on the hard cam side. They were making sure hard cam side, desperately making sure hard cam side was full. And they still do that to a certain extent, but they don't have to worry about it as much because the people that sit there are going to be there.
Yeah. That is their spot.
Yes.
I mean, you can almost guarantee that Mike Benfield is right there on the corner, and you will almost always be able to see him because of his giant white cowboy hat. Hey, Mike. Keith is always over there. Miranda, Wesley, Brocky, and Gracie are over there, and they are all like clustered right in that corner, and they are there week after week.
And we love them all.
Yeah.
And chances are, if you've never been to Davis Arena before, or you've only been once, one of these people talked to you and said, "Hey, I don't recognize you. How are you having a fun time?" Like, these are the people that are really ambassadors amongst the fans. For
Yes.
OVW. We're
So
heading home. We're
the
heading
rules
home.
of this match are as follows. If I'm just going from memory and what we talked about the last time when I listened to that on the way back from Ohio. If either member of Shotgun Tony Gunn, Certified Luke Curtis team, the Certified Shotgun team, we'll just refer to them moving forward.
Yeah.
If either member of that team pins Jack Vaughn, whoever pins Jack Vaughn wins his title.
Or if you pin EC3.
Or if you pin
win.
EC3, you win EC3's title.
Jack Vaughn was the heavyweight champion, and EC3 was and still is the national champion.
Yes. And you could tell that in the style of these two teams. The Certified Shotgun team, they were in it to be in the ring and inflict as much damage as possible.
Yeah.
On the other side of the ring, much higher on their end, not about it so much.
They this is where they had their little pisser between each other, right? Where they
Yes.
were, yeah.
They did a promo famously back-to-back in the run-up to this,
yeah.
which was great.
So you would see shotgun Tony Gunn for a good 2, 3, 4 minutes. Jack Vaughn would be in there long enough to do a move, and then would tag EC3 in, like they were.
Did the veteran move of tagging the other guy.
I believe the mustache was the mastermind on that one. Yeah.
Calling the shots.
Yeah, absolutely. But it was a hard-fought match among 4 of the top names in OVW.
Yeah. And, it might just be the fact that he had to share a side of the ring with EC3. Like, after this, Vaughn was like he was like a babyface like the next Thursday night.
Yeah. Not long after that.
He had been cooking it up. He had been cooking it up for a long time.
Again, another veteran move. I expect nothing less from him or his mustache.
The masked men show up here. I guess that would be more of the igniting thing that made Jack Vaughn a babyface, right? Is that he got beat up by the masked men?
Yeah.
I like to think that it was like double dose. It was like, well, I might be obnoxious, but I'm not this effing guy. Like
comparison with EC3 really did help that.
Yeah. And then of course when we see him get beat up, it kind of shoves him into that side of the dynamic, right?
Right. Yeah. Right as you guys were getting here, I was already set up in the other room outside of the studio, and I went back and I watched this part at like 3/4 speed, like I did when
I was gonna ask, what were your findings? Because I know that I had a feeling that this is something you sat down and did.
I still feel like there's a little bit more that we can pick off this bone.
Okay.
My first question, and it was at the time, and I went back to look because I still hadn't had an answer. They go from being fully involved in this match, all 4 contestants, and then the masked men arrive, and then EC3 is just not in the ring anymore. So I paid special attention to that. As they enter the ring, he rolled out the other side, and that's why we just didn't see him for a while. And then he managed to sneak around the corner of the ring and then up the ramp and was standing in the entranceway.
I remember him being on the ramp by the end of all of this.
Yeah, I remember him being in the ring and then being on the ramp, but did not really remember seeing him in between in those 2 instances. And now, I mean, we obviously know how he got there. We know why he was spared by the masked men. There were 3 that came out the second time. So
did they come from under the ring? Is this where they came from under the ring?
They came from outside. Again.
Outside.
In the normal Revolution way.
So the 2 instances that the masked men played a role in this pay-per-view, they started from outside of the ring and were chased off like the Bumpus Hounds in A Christmas Story. And once they chased the original 3 off the first time, 2 more came from outside, from underneath the ring.
Oh, to keep beating people.
Yes.
In that first instance back during the barroom brawl.
Yes.
Okay. Now I'm with it.
So as far as I can tell, that's all I've got for now. But like I said, I still feel like there's more that we can pick from this. So after we finish and wrap up for the night, I'm probably going to go back to my place and unpack. And if I have anything else, I'll do a quick Heinz catch up later, and we'll just see what we'll come up with.
Is that what all that different colored string and safety pins out in the lobby was for?
Making.
Dude, we talked about this out there. We're not going to talk about that on camera.
Okay. I'm sorry.
We're not going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about
PS,
that.
cut that.
Yeah.
That one's only for the live people.
Cut it right out.
PS, cut it right out. The OVW podcast, the 10th Carney Award, name it down.
Take 2.
Actually,
cut that too, Malachi. Cut that too, Malachi.
Before you cut to that, I do have one more point I'd like to make.
Sir.
Is that if you'd asked me before I rewatched this, I would have bet money that this was the pay-per-view where Luke won the championship.
He, of course, won it on a Thursday night.
Yes, he, of course, won it on Rise.
We were there.
Tony Gunn. Yes, we were, because I saw him win it.
Yeah, we were standing there next to his mom.
Yes. His real mom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His real
Yes,
mom.
once again, I at one time this took a ring nurse for Luke's mother.
That will never get old, dude.
And
I'm sorry. I'm not
I will
sorry.
apologize every time it comes up, I suppose.
The funniest thing ever was that when we found out he was sitting right there,
Yeah.
he had that grin come right across his face.
Yeah, when I said it, yes. He
was
saw
like,
me claim that his mother helped him.
What are you talking about? That wasn't my
My
mom.
mom lives in Florida.
I'm pretty sure the only reason that she came up here a couple months later was because of my stupidity.
If you want to know the entirety of this inside joke, go back and listen to that episode we did with Certified Luke Curtis.
Because he does bring it up.
Yeah, and then
That was one of the few times I've been on camera was because I had.
Because I remember I sat back there.
Yeah,
I said
you produced the first segment, and you made Brian come out here and eat crow in front of a taped studio audience.
It made me feel even more tiny. All right, let's get us out of here. Let's do it for real this time.
Okay.
All right. I got it.
You got it?
Namaste. The OVW podcast, the 10th Carney Award nominated unofficial podcast of Ohio Valley Wrestling, is produced by Blacklight Moon Productions at Nut House Studios in Lexington, Kentucky. The OVW podcast broadcast team is me, Jack Minogues, and him,
Brian Hines.
Our studio engineer and editor is Malachi P.S. Woodard. Executive producers. Wednesday nights, catch the OVW podcast broadcast team as we host OVW Fan Zone Live, an OVW fan talk show where fans talk back on OVW video networks. After watching wrestlers on Netflix, visit OVWpodcast.com/podcasters to find all of our episodes of our unofficial Wrestlers After Show. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, rate us 5 stars, and give us a review. You can also follow us at OVW Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok, Threads, YouTube, and
all the way to the Appalachian Wireless Center
on August 31st for
in Pikeville,
OVW.
Kentucky.
That for Pikeville, if only we knew some